They believed humans were a myth until we stormed the Frontline. Part 2. The night sky over Korath 4 lit up with a sharp white streak. The frigate Independence broke through the clouds and slowed above the battlefield. Its hull looked old, scratched metal, patched plates, engines that hummed rough instead of singing smooth like coalition ships. But it moved with purpose. No fear, no hesitation. On the orbital station, Admiral Vexlar watched the ship on every screen. His mandibles clicked once, hard. "Open a channel," he ordered. The human voice came back fast. "This is Captain John Harper. We are in position. Where do you need us?" Vexlar paused. He had never spoken to a human before. The voice sounded normal, deep, steady, a little tired, not the growl of a monster from old tales. "Ground forces are pinned at Grid 7, Vexlar said. "Swarm numbers exceed 10,000. Our lines break in less than 1 hour." "Understood," John replied. "We carry 1 Marine company, medical team, and heavy weapons. Permission to deploy?" The Admiral looked at his officers. The young Vorath next to him shook his head slowly. "Sir, this could be a trick, or worse, humans are myths. What if they turn on us?" Vexlar stared at the screen. Below, red dots on the map blinked faster. Coalition troops died every second. "Permission granted," he said. "Land near Captain Lyra Voss's position. Coordinates sent." "Thank you, Admiral. See you on the ground." The channel closed. Down in the trench, Captain Lyra Voss heard the news over her radio. She wiped mud from her cracked crystal face. Sergeant Cale Thorne stood beside her, chain guns still hot from firing. "They're coming," Lyra said. Cale snorted. "If they exist." A low rumble grew louder. Dropships fell from the sky. Small, boxy, painted dark gray. They hit the dirt hard. Ramps dropped, and humans stepped out. The first one was tall, shoulders wide, wearing heavy armor that looked thick but simple. No glowing crystals, no sleek curves, just metal, straps, and a big rifle across his chest. He walked straight to Lyra. "Lieutenant Matthew Brooks," he said. He took off his helmet. Short brown hair, blue eyes, a small scar on his cheek. "Captain Harper sent us. Where's the fight?" Lyra stared. The human stood calm like he had landed on a peaceful field instead of a war zone. She pointed to the ridge. "Swarm comes over that hill. Thousands. They break our center every push." Matthew nodded once. "Got it." He turned to his people. "Ashley, take 3rd Squad left flank. Ryan, set up the autocannon on high ground. Kevin, get the engineers ready for barricades. Move." The humans moved fast. No long talk. No debate. They spread out like they had done this 1,000 times. Ashley Grant led her squad. She was short, strong, black hair tied back tight. She carried a rifle with a grenade launcher under it. Her team followed close, 10 humans in the same gray armor. Ryan Patel ran to a small hill. He was big, arms thick from years of hard work. He dropped a heavy tripod, locked in an autocannon bigger than most Krell carried alone. He fed in a belt of rounds and grinned, ready to make noise. Kevin Morales and his engineers started digging fast. They pulled metal plates from their packs, slammed them into the ground, wired sensors. In minutes, a rough wall rose, where nothing stood before. Lyra watched. "They work like machines," she said to Cale. Cale grunted. "Or like lunatics." The swarm attacked again. Bugs poured over the ridge, black shells, sharp legs, jaws that dripped green acid. They screamed in high pitches that hurt the ears. Coalition troops opened fire. Lasers cut. Bullets flew. But the bugs kept coming. Then the humans joined. Ashley's squad hit the left side. She ran forward, not back. Her people followed. They shot in short bursts, accurate, deadly. When a bug got close, Ashley fired a grenade. It exploded in the middle of a pack. Chunks flew everywhere. "Push," she yelled. The bugs turned toward the new threat. Ashley did not stop. She threw another grenade, then charged with her rifle on full auto. Her squad stayed with her. They laughed as they fought. Short, hard laughs. Like the danger made them happy. On the right, Ryan's autocannon roared. It spat fire so fast, the barrel glowed red. He kept firing until the belt ran dry, then slammed in a new one without pause. Like shooting fish in a barrel, he shouted to a stunned Krell gunner next to him. The Krell just stared. Back at the center, Lieutenant Matthew walked straight into the fight. He carried a big pistol in one hand, a combat knife in the other. A bug jumped at him. He shot it in the head, then stabbed another that tried to flank. Blood, bug blood, splashed his armor. He did not slow. Captain Lyra moved closer. "Why do you fight like this?" she asked him during a short break in the wave. Matthew reloaded. "Because someone has to, and we don't like losing." The swarm pulled back for a moment. They always did. Regroup, then hit harder. Admiral Vexlar watched from orbit. The red dots on the map slowed. The line held. For the first time in weeks. He opened the channel again. "Captain Harper, your Marines, they advance. Our forces only hold." John's voice came back. "That's how we do it, Admiral. Hold long enough, then take ground. Your people fight smart. We fight mean. Together, we win." Vexlar looked at the screens. Human dropships flew low, dropping more troops, more crates, more weapons. On the ground, Ashley returned from the flank. Her armor smoked. She had a cut on her arm. She ignored it. "Flank collapsed," she reported to Matthew. "Hive entrance down. They won't come through there again soon." Matthew nodded. "Good work." A young Vorath soldier walked up. His crystal skin flickered with nerves. You are really humans?" Ashley smiled. Small, tired smile. "Last time I checked." The Vorath looked at the dead bugs. Then, at the humans. "The stories said you were monsters." Ryan laughed from his cannon position. "We can be, when we need to be." Night fell. The swarm waited. They always waited. But now the coalition had something new. Humans, not myths. Real, armed, angry, and ready for more. In orbit, Admiral Vexlar leaned back in his chair. He felt something he had not felt in a long time. A chance. Below, Captain John Harper stood on the Bridge of Independence. He looked at the planet. "Send down the second wave," he said quietly. The comm officer nodded. More ships prepared to drop. The myth had landed, and it brought hell with it. They believed humans were a myth, until we stormed the front line. Part 3. The swarm did not wait long. Dawn came gray and wet on Korath 4. Fog hung low over the trenches. Coalition soldiers checked their weapons. They looked tired, eyes red, hands shook a little. They had held the line all night because of the humans. Now they waited for the next wave. Captain Lyra Voss stood at the forward post. Her crystal body showed new cracks. Sergeant Cale Thorne cleaned his chain gun next to her. Both watched the humans. Lieutenant Matthew Brooks walked the line. He talked to his people in short words. Ashley Grant checked grenades. Ryan Patel loaded fresh belts into his autocannon. Kevin Morales and his team finished the last barricade, sharp metal spikes wired to power cells. A low hum started in the distance. The ground shook. The swarm came again, this time bigger. Drones flew low. Big armored bugs crawled behind. Overlords, tall ones with thick shells, pushed from the back. "Here they come," Matthew said. His voice stayed calm. Admiral Vexlar watched from orbit. Screens showed red dots everywhere. "They outnumber us 3-1, he said to his officers. "If the line breaks now, the planet falls." On the ground, Lyra gave the order. "All units, fire on my mark." Lasers flashed. Bullets flew. The first bugs died fast, but more rushed in. They climbed over their dead. Acid rained down. A Vorath medic screamed as it burned through his arm. The center started to crack. Kale's gun roared. He cut down a row of drones. But a big bug jumped the trench. It slammed into him. Claws ripped scales. Kale fell back. Blood, dark red, ran from his side. "Kale!" Lyra shouted. She fired her rifle into the bug's face. It dropped. But more came. The swarm pushed hard. Coalition troops fell back step by step. Trenches filled with bodies. Hope slipped away. Then Matthew raised his hand. Now! Human dropships screamed overhead. Ramps opened mid-air. More humans jumped out. They hit the ground running. Sergeant Nicole Evans led them. She was tall, brown hair in a tight bun. She carried tools and a big rifle. Behind her came engineers with crates of ammo and parts. "Fortify!" Nicole yelled. Her team moved fast. They dropped auto turrets, small machines with spinning guns. The turrets locked on bugs and fired without stop. Sparks flew. Bugs exploded. Ashley saw the break in the line. She ran toward it. "With me," she called to her squad. They charged straight at the swarm push. No cover, no slow advance, just full speed. Ashley fired her grenade launcher. Boom! A hole opened in the bug wall. Her squad poured through. They shot, stabbed, kicked. One human took acid to the chest. He kept fighting until he fell. Ryan laughed loud. "Come get some!" Shells piled at his feet. The barrel smoked. Bugs tried to rush him. He mowed them down like grass. Above, Captain John Harper watched from Independence. "Send the reserves," he said. "All of them." More dropships came. Humans landed everywhere. They did not ask for orders. They saw the fight and joined. A young Vorath soldier hid behind a rock. He watched Ashley fight. She stood on a dead bug, blood on her face. She reloaded fast. Then she ran forward again. The Vorath whispered, "They do not stop." Matthew reached Kale. The big Krell lay on his back, breathing hard. Matthew dropped to one knee. "Hold still." He pulled a medkit from his pack, cut open Kale's armor, pressed a patch on the wound. It sealed with a hiss. Then he gave Kale a shot. Painkillers, stimulants. Kale growled. "I can still fight." "Good," Matthew said. "Then get up." Kale pushed himself to his feet. Slow, painful, but standing. "You saved him." Matthew shrugged. "We don't leave people behind." The swarm hit hardest at the center. Overlords moved in, 10 feet tall, shells like tanks, claws that cut metal. One charged straight at Nicole's team. She stood her ground. "Turrets, focus." The machines turned. Bullets hammered the Overlord. It slowed. Nicole threw a plasma charge. It stuck to the shell. Exploded. The Overlord fell apart. Another one came. Ashley met it head-on. She jumped on its back, jammed a grenade into a joint, rolled off. Boom. Legs flew. The humans pushed. Coalition troops saw it. Something changed. A Zathari scout stepped forward instead of back. A Krell warrior roared and charged with Ryan. Vorath soldiers fired faster. Matthew shouted over the noise. "We take that ridge. Move." Humans and aliens ran together. They climbed the hill. Bugs died under boots and blades. At the top, Ryan set his cannon again. He fired down into the swarm ranks. They broke. The Overlords pulled back. The drones scattered. The big push failed. Smoke rose. The field went quiet, except for the crackle of fires and the moans of wounded. Lyra walked to Matthew. Her crystal flickered weak. "How do you do it?" Matthew wiped sweat from his face. "We fight because we have to. We learned long ago, if you stop, you die, so we don't stop." A young Krell soldier came up. He looked at the humans, then at the dead bugs. "The story said you were crazy, that you loved war." Ashley laughed short. "We don't love it, we just win it." Admiral Vexlar's voice came over the comm. Report. Lyra answered. Line held, sir. Swarm retreated. Heavy losses on their side. We still stand. Silence on the channel. Then Vexlar said, Because of the humans. Yes, sir. In orbit, Vexlar looked at his officers. They did not retreat. They attacked. When we would have pulled back, they went forward. A Vorath officer nodded slow. They fight like nothing we know. On the ground, Nicole patched a wounded human. Kale sat nearby. He watched her work. You fixed me, he said. Why? Nicole did not look up. Because you're on our side now. Kale stared at her. Then he nodded once. Hard respect in his eyes. The sun climbed higher. The battlefield smelled of burned metal and bug blood. Coalition troops looked different. Shoulders straighter. Eyes harder. Matthew stood on the ridge. He looked out at the swarm lines far away. They regrouped, but slower this time. John's voice came over the radio. Good work down there. Rest while you can. They will hit again. Matthew smiled small. Let them come. Ashley walked up. We buying time or taking ground next? Matthew looked at her. Then at the aliens around them. Some watched, waiting. Both, he said. The myth no longer hid. It stood on the front line, bloody, tired, unbroken. And the galaxy started to notice. They believed humans were a myth until we stormed the front line. Part 4. The battlefield on Korath 4 stayed quiet for the first time in weeks. Smoke still rose from dead bugs. The air smelled of burned shells and blood. Coalition troops sat in groups. Some cleaned weapons. Others stared at the humans like they had never seen anything like them before. Word spread fast. Radios crackled with reports. Ships and other systems picked up the news. Humans existed. Humans fought. Humans won ground. The myth turned real in one night. Admiral Vexlar called Captain John Harper to the flagship. The admiral waited in the main hall. Tall windows showed the planet below. John stepped in alone. No guards, no fear. He wore the same gray uniform. Simple, clean. Vexlar looked down at the human. Captain, you saved our line. John nodded once. We did what we could. The admiral moved to a screen. Pictures from ancient records. Blurry images of humans in old wars. Ships that looked like Independence. Soldiers in armor like Matthew's. These records say your kind died out, Vexlar said. Big wars, lost colonies, extinction. John crossed his arms. We almost did. Many times, but we never quit. Some ships escaped, found the veil, hid there, built up, waited. Vexlar clicked his mandibles. Waited for what? For a reason, John said. Like this one. The admiral stared at him. You fight different. No careful plans. No long retreat. You charge. You bleed. You keep going. John gave a small smile. We learned that if you stop, you lose everything. So we don't stop. Down on the surface, things changed. Captain Lyra Voss walked the trenches. Her crystal body still cracked, but stronger now. She saw Vorath soldiers talking to humans. Krell warriors shared food with Ryan Patel. Zethari scouts asked Ashley Grant how she threw grenades so far. Sergeant Cale Thorne sat on a crate, his side bandaged tight. Lauren Davis worked nearby. She was a human medic, short hair, steady hands. She checked a wounded Krell's leg. You fixed me fast, Cale said to her. Lauren tied off a stitch. Had to, you big ones bleed too much. Cale watched her. Why help us? We thought you were dead, or monsters. Lauren looked up. We help because you're fighting the same fight. Swarm doesn't care who you are. It eats everything. Cale nodded slow. You humans, you make us want to fight harder. Lauren smiled small. Good, we need that. Kevin Morales set up more turrets with his team. Coalition engineers watched. They asked questions. Kevin answered simple. Wire here, power there. Shoot when it moves. Soon aliens helped build. Hands moved together. No ranks, no orders. Just work. Night came again. They watched. They learned. Coalition scouts reported enemy lines pulling away. First time ever. Admiral Vexlar spoke to all ships. His voice went out wide. The humans are here. They are real. They fight beside us. They do not run. They advance. Because of them, Korath 4 still stands. Cheers came from every channel. Short, rough, real. On the ground, Matthew Brooks stood on the ridge. He looked at the dark horizon. Ashley joined him. They fear us now, she said. Matthew nodded. Good. Fear makes them slow. A young Vorath soldier walked up. His name was Tyrion. Skin glowed soft. Lieutenant, why do you laugh in battle? Matthew thought for a second. Because fear wants us quiet. We laugh to tell it no. Tyrion stared. Then he tried a small laugh. Sounded strange, but he tried. Word reached the swarm hive. Overlords clicked in anger. They sent scouts. They watched humans move. Humans did not hide. They fixed weapons. They ate. They slept little. The bugs felt something new. Doubt. Back in orbit, John met Vexlar again. This time with maps. The swarm pulls to their main cluster, John said. 3 days march. Big hive. If we hit now, we break them. Vexlar looked at the map. Red lines showed old coalition plans. Slow, safe, retreat if needed. Your way? The Admiral asked. John pointed straight. All in, full push, no hold back. Vexlar paused. We lose the sector. John met his eyes. We win the war. The Admiral thought long. Then he nodded. We follow your lead. Orders went out. Ships moved. Troops loaded. Humans and aliens stood side by side. On the ground, Nicole Evans checked supplies. Cale walked up. He carried his chain gun easy now. You fight with us tomorrow? He asked. Nicole looked at him. All the way. Cale held out a big hand. Nicole took it. Grip strong. Respect real. Lauren patched the last wound. She looked around. Humans and aliens mixed. No walls. No stairs. Just fighters. Ashley cleaned her rifle. Ryan oiled his cannon. Kevin tested a turret. Matthew walked the line. He stopped at each group. Rest tonight, he said. Tomorrow we take ground. A Krell warrior raised his fist. For the line. Humans raised theirs. For the line. Voices mixed. One sound. In the dark, the swarm waited. They felt the change. The myth walked now. It carried guns. It carried friends. It carried no fear. Admiral Vexlar stood on his bridge. He looked at the stars. We thought humans were stories, he said quiet. An officer answered. They are not stories anymore. Vexlar turned. No, they are the storm. Below, John Harper stood outside his ship. Wind moved his coat. He looked at the camp. Lights glowed. Laughs came soft. Aliens learned human songs. Humans tried alien words. He spoke low. We waited long enough. The night ended. Dawn waited. The myth woke up angry, and the front line would never be the same. They believed humans were a myth until we stormed the front line. Part 5. Dawn broke hard on Korath 4. Red light cut through smoke. The coalition army stood ready. Ships filled the sky. Human frigates mixed with Zethari cruisers and Vorath carriers. Krell dropships hung low. Everyone waited for one signal. Captain John Harper stood on the Bridge of Independence. He looked at the main screen. The swarm hive cluster glowed red. Biggest nest on the planet. towers of black chitin, tunnels deep into rock. Overlords guarded every gate. "Admiral," John said over comms, "we go now, or we lose the chance." Admiral Vexlar answered from his flagship, "All forces, advance, full assault, no retreat." The order went out. Engines roared. The sky turned to fire as ships dove. On the ground, Lieutenant Matthew Brooks led the first wave. He ran at the front. Ashley Grant stayed close on his left. Ryan Patel carried his autocannon like it weighed nothing. Sergeant Nicole Evans followed with engineers. Kevin Morales ran beside her, tools ready. Behind them came coalition troops. Captain Lyra Voss moved with her Vorath unit. Sergeant Cale Thorne charged ahead, chain guns spinning. Lauren Davis stayed near the medline, ready to patch anyone who fell. The swarm met them at the outer wall. Bugs poured out, drones flew thick, acid spit filled the air. Overlords stepped forward, 20 feet tall, claws like swords. Matthew did not slow. "Hit them hard," he yelled. Ashley fired her grenade launcher. Explosions tore holes in the bug line. Ryan set his cannon on a rock. It roared. Shells ripped through drones. Bodies fell in piles. Humans pushed straight. No careful flanks. No hiding. They ran into fire. They shot back. They laughed when bugs died. A big overlord charged Matthew. It swung a claw. He jammed a plasma charge into its leg joint. Rolled away. Boom. The leg broke. The overlord crashed down. Ashley finished it with a grenade to the head. Cale reached the wall. He fired his chain gun into a gate. Bugs died fast. Lyra fought beside him. Her energy rifle cut clean. Together they broke the first barrier. Nicole's team moved in. They planted charges on weak spots. Kevin wired them fast. "Clear," he shouted. Explosions rocked the hive. Tunnels collapsed. Bugs screamed inside. From orbit, John watched. Second wave dropped now. More dropships fell. Humans landed everywhere. They carried heavy guns, rockets, blades. They joined the fight without pause. The swarm fought back hard. Overlords rushed out in groups. One grabbed a Krell warrior. Crushed him. Cale roared and charged. He climbed the overlord's back. Jammed his gun into a soft spot. Fired full burst. Bug blood sprayed. The overlord dropped. Bugs rushed out. She threw her last grenade. It bounced inside. Exploded deep. The tunnel caved. Ryan's cannon overheated. He dropped it. Pulled 2 pistols. Kept shooting. Not done yet. Coalition troops pushed harder. Vorath soldiers advanced in lines. Krell warriors smashed bugs with bare hands. Zethari scouts darted in, cut throats, darted out. Lauren ran through smoke. She pulled a wounded human to cover. Then a Vorath. Then a Krell. She worked fast. No rest. The main hive gate stood ahead. Tall, thick, guarded by 3 overlords. Matthew stopped. Looked at his people. "We take that gate. End this." Ashley nodded. Ryan reloaded. Nicole brought fresh charges. Cale stood tall despite blood on his scales. They charged together. Bugs met them. Claws cut. Acid burned. Humans fell. Coalition fell. But others stepped over bodies. Kept going. Ashley reached an overlord first. She jumped high. Landed on its arm. Climbed to its head. Fired point blank into its eye. It roared. She held on. Fired again. It fell. Ryan and Cale hit the second one. Ryan shot its legs. Cale climbed and ripped at its neck. Together, they brought it down. Matthew and Nicole faced the last. Nicole threw a charge. It stuck. Matthew shot the overlord to keep it still. Boom. Shell cracked. The bug staggered. Lyra ran up, fired her rifle into the crack. The overlord dropped dead. The gate stood open. "Inside," Matthew yelled. They poured in. Tunnels dark. Air thick with bug smell. Lights from human helmets cut the black. Swarm queens waded deep, big, slow, surrounded by guards. The fight turned brutal, close, bloody. Knives, fists, guns empty, used as clubs. Ashley stabbed a guard bug. Ryan smashed another with his cannon stock. Kale roared and tore one apart. Nicole set the last big charge. 10 seconds. Everyone ran back. They reached the gate as the explosion shook the hive. Fire rolled out. Tunnels fell. The queens died in the collapse. Outside, the swarm broke. Bugs ran. No order, no fight, just panic. Coalition ships fired from above. Bombs fell. Bugs burned. Silence came slow. Smoke cleared. Bodies covered the ground. Human, alien, bug. Matthew stood at the ruined gate. Ashley beside him. Ryan leaned on his broken cannon. Nicole wiped blood from her face. Kevin counted survivors. Kale walked up. He looked at Matthew. You did it. Matthew shook his head. We did it. Lyra joined them. Her crystal glowed faint but steady. The hive is gone. The swarm here is finished. Admiral Vexlar landed his shuttle. He stepped out, walked through the dead, stopped in front of John Harper. John waited calm. Vexlar looked at the human, then at the broken hive. We thought you were legends. Stories to scare children. John met his eyes. We were always real. The Admiral clicked once. We were wrong. You are not monsters. You are worse. You are hope. John gave a small nod. We just fight to live. Around them, troops gathered. Humans, Vorath, Zethari, Krell. They stood together. No ranks, no sides. Just fighters who won. A young Vorath raised his rifle. For the line. Kale roared it back. For the line. Ashley shouted. Ryan laughed. Matthew smiled quiet. The call spread. Voices mixed. One sound. The sun climbed high. Light hit the broken hive. Smoke rose thin. The galaxy heard the news soon. Humans returned. Humans fought. Humans won. No one called them myth again. They became something new. The storm that saved worlds. And the front line belonged to them now. They believed humans were a myth. Until we stormed the front line. Part 1. Far out in the galaxy, stars burned cold and quiet. In this empty part of space, the Coalition fought a hard war. Their ships came from 3 main species. The Zethari looked like big insects with hard shells and fast minds. The Vorath were made of clear crystal that glowed when they talked. The Krell stood tall like reptiles, with thick scales and strong arms. Together, they called themselves the Coalition, and they tried to stop the swarm. The swarm was different. It was not one species. It was billions of bugs that moved like one big mind. They ate planets. They built hives on dead worlds. They never stopped. They never talked. They just came, killed, and moved on. The Coalition had lost many battles. Their fleets grew smaller every month. Their soldiers got tired. Food and ammo ran low. Hope started to fade. High above the planet Korath 4, in a big orbital station, Admiral Vexlar looked at the screens. He was Zethari, old and wise, with black eyes that missed nothing. Reports came in fast. Red lights blinked on every map. The swarm pushed hard on the ground below. Coalition troops held the line, but barely. Status on the southern front, Vexlar said in a calm voice. A young Vorath officer answered. Heavy losses, sir. Captain Lyra Voss reports her unit is down to half strength. Sergeant Kale Thorne's Krell squad is pinned near the ridge. Swarm drones break through every hour. Vexlar clicked his mandibles. Supplies? Almost gone. We can hold 2 more days. Maybe 3. The Admiral turned to the big window. Korath 4 spun slowly below. Smoke rose from the battlefields. Fires burned in the night. He knew what came next. Retreat. Another world lost. Another step closer to the end. But something else worried him more. Old stories. Whispers from long ago. Many years back, scouts found records in ruined ships. Those records spoke of a species called humans. They lived in a small part of space called the human veil. The stories said humans were strong. They fought hard. They did not give up. They built fast and bred fast. Some said they were monsters. Others said they died out in big wars long ago. Most in the coalition laughed at the tales. Myths, they said. Old ghost stories to scare recruits. No one had seen a human in thousands of years. No ships, no signals, nothing. So humans became legends. Something parents told kids to make them behave. Eat your food or the humans will come. Silly words. Yet Admiral Vexlar kept the old files. He read them late at night. The stories matched too well. Humans fought in ways no one else did. They used tricks. They took risks. They turned losing fights into wins. If even half the tales were true, humans would change everything. Down on the surface, the fight got worse. Captain Lyra Voss stood in a trench. She was Vorath, her crystal body cracked in places from shrapnel. She held a long energy rifle. Around her, soldiers from all three species waited. Zethari scouts, Krell heavy gunners, Vorath medics, they all looked worn. Swarm bugs crawled over the hill. Hundreds, thousands. Their legs clicked, their jaws snapped, acid spit flew through the air. Fire, Lyra shouted. Lasers and bullets lit the dark. Bugs died in piles, but more came, always more. Sergeant Cale Thorne stood next to her. He was Krell, almost 8 feet tall. His scales were scarred. He carried a big chain gun that roared like thunder. They keep coming, he growled. We need air support. No ships left, Lyra said. They pulled back to save fuel. Then we die here. A young Zethari soldier near them shook. Captain, the stories. The old ones. About the veil. Lyra looked at him. What about them? The humans. They say humans never quit. Maybe we send a signal there. Cale laughed, short and rough. Humans? Fairy tales. We need real help, not bedtime stories. But Lyra thought for a second. Supplies gone, men dying, nothing to lose. She opened a private channel. Her fingers moved fast on the pad. She sent a simple message into the human veil. Short code, old frequency. It said, Coalition forces under attack. Korath 4. Request any aid. Swarm overwhelming. She added one line at the end, almost as a joke. Even legends welcome. She sent it. No one expected anything. Back in orbit, Admiral Vexlar saw the signal go out. He froze. Captain Voss sent a distress call. To the veil? The Vorath officer nodded. Yes, sir. It was not in the log. She used a hidden channel. Vexlar stared at the screen. The message flew out into dark space. Past dead stars, past empty systems, into the place no one went. He felt something strange. Not hope, not yet, but something close. Hours passed. The battle on the ground grew bad. Lyra's unit fell back. Cale's gun overheated. Bodies filled the trenches. Bugs pushed closer. Then a new signal came. It came from the edge of the system. A single ship. Small, old design, but moving fast. Admiral Vexlar opened the comm. A voice answered. Calm, clear, human accent. This is Captain John Harper of the frigate Independence. We received your call. We are here to help. Silence filled the bridge. Vexlar spoke slowly. Humans? Yes, John said. The myths are real, and we brought friends. On the ground, Lyra heard the voice over her radio. She looked up at the sky. A streak of light fell. A ship. Human ship. No way. The bugs kept coming. But now, something new entered the fight. The myth had answered.